By the way, welcome Alex from In Time Tech. I know I've got a few of the other In Time Tech folks registered. Anyone else going to be able to make it this afternoon? Oh, you're on mute, but I don't know if maybe I have to unmute you. That's a possibility. Oh, I can't unmute you. Only you can unmute yourself, evidently. There we go. Or no, just kidding. That was somebody else. And just so, Alex, for your benefit and just so everyone knows, there is on the right-hand column of your Bevy screen a chat and a Q&A section. Oh, that is, so you are unmute, and now I can't unmute you. That's strange. Okay, well, good to know. We'll just see if any of the other folks join us. I think Candace was planning to, and Jen, so we'll see if they can hop on here soon. Madison, will you do me a favor? You're also you're muted right now and I can't unmute you, but you can unmute yourself, I see. So thank you for testing that. That's weird. I don't know what's going on there.
I'm wondering, Alex, if you, right next to that little mute button at the bottom, there's an arrow. It might just make you like reselect your microphone or speaker. It might not have just connected the right way.
Because I don't think you have to be set to a host, because I know Cody was chatting with me earlier here.
Yeah, and then over on the right where there's chat, there's a help tab. And then you can test like your audio and video, and it might help you connect there too.
Yeah, to be fair, this is our first time using Bevy with this small of a group. Last time we used it, it was so large that it was actually, it blocked other people from participating, and only hosts had access. But this time we are under 50 people. So we should be able to have that functionality where other folks can unmute. Let me try someone else. Hey, Nikki Wardle, what's going on? Will you see if you can unmute yourself for me and say hello? You'll be my little guinea pig.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can. Okay. Hello, Nikki. Thank you. I don't know, you just kind of joined in. I was just saying this is our first time using Bevy where we can have people talking besides the host. So we just want to make sure that that functionality is working okay. But hello, welcome. Thank
you.
Thanks for helping me test that out. All right, well, we're 2 minutes after our start time, and it looks like we've got several folks here still. Hopefully a few more will be joining us. Looks like we have 15 of 22 registered people here today. So welcome, and thanks for joining the Boise HubSpot user group today. Again, I'm Lindsey. I'm your host. For those of you who are new here, other than that, most of you probably interacted with me in some way. And I am your host, your presenter, everything today. You're kind of stuck with me, but as I always like to say when we get these things started, like, I don't want this to be the Lindsey show. So if anybody else has input or feedback, like, please, the whole point of this user group is to benefit from like the group knowledge that's here. We're all using HubSpot in different ways for different purposes. So everybody's input is valuable. So, please feel free to chime in if you've got any hot takes on any of the stuff that I'm sharing, any tips. As I mentioned, this is a smaller group this time, so you guys will have access, or in theory, I know it's not working seamlessly for everybody, but in theory, you guys should have access to unmute yourself and jump in, or if you'd like, you can use the chat. And there is also, if you go into the chat tab, there is also a Q&A under the general area. So if you've got like questions that you just want to plug in, if maybe I'm going over some stuff and it's just something that you want to circle back to at the end, or something you want me to go back and cover later, you can throw questions in there. Madison, if you'll do me a favor and kind of keep your eye on the Q&A, and if there's anything you think I should stop and interject with an answer, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'll be checking those towards the end. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen. Is everybody seeing that okay? Actually, and then I lost my,
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, now you guys can all see what I'm doing here, but I'm like trying to get my bevy screen back as well. Oh, no, it's not going to let me. Well, that's fun. All right, Madison, you're really going to have to watch that Q&A. I can't be in present mode and see it for some reason. I guess that was the great benefit. One of the wonderful benefits of having a HubSpot speaker last time is she was doing the presenting, so I could kind of stay in the bevy view and answer questions and stuff. But here we are. So go back to sharing here. Well, as I mentioned, welcome to our, I know it's like the end of the third quarter, but it is still Q3. And we snuck one more hug in for, we'll be getting a Q4 hug on the calendar here before the end of the year, but we got a hug in for Q3. Happy to say that we are all here today to talk about data hygiene. We're going to start by doing some introductions. I'm hoping that microphones are working okay. If not, maybe just throw something in the chat and give us a little wave. But I'm definitely interested in just kind of, hearing who you are, what company you're from, and like what HubSpot hubs you're using. So are you mostly a marketing hub person? Does your company use marketing, sales, service, all of that? Kind of what do you primarily work in? And then I'm going to do my presentation today on data hygiene. We'll be talking just about kind of the symptoms and the results of having good or bad data hygiene, and kind of how we can help you keep your contact tiers in check, have good email deliverability, how to weed out contacts that you're never going to be able to reach, and not have them count against your contact tier. And we'll talk about properties and personalization so that you guys have good, clean data, and you don't have those embarrassing personalization snafus that I think we've all been on the receiving end of when we get a ridiculous email with like the wrong name or something like that. So, and then at the end, we'll do questions and answers. Again, please, feel free to, throw in any questions in that question area of the chat as I'm going. Also, just if, towards the end, again, my presentation isn't all that long, so we should have time at the end to really even ask questions that aren't related to today's topic. Maybe you get some answers, maybe you find someone you can connect with offline to talk about it, or maybe it's just good fodder for a future hug. So please don't be shy. Feel free to throw in any questions on topic or not. Again, this is a new platform. This actually was old. I wasn't sure if we were going to have everybody be able to use mics. So previously, only hosts and presenters had live mics and videos, but today we all get that. So, but in the meantime, if, just to kind of cut down on background noise, if you want to default to mute and use the chat, and then, like I said, just, say hello or put in your questions. So we're going to do some introductions today. For those of you who don't know, this lovely little narwhal on your screen is Wally. He is Tribute Media's mascot, and he's just a cute little guy. So I couldn't resist throwing him in here. But just to get started with introductions, again, I'm Lindsey. I am your HubSpot host, or your HubSpot user group host, and I'm a HubSpot certified trainer. I have been working in HubSpot since 2015, but with the nature of HubSpot and how often it changes and they roll out new products, I always want to emphasize, I think we all learn this stuff together as we go. So even though I'm your host today, I am by no means the last and final word on all things HubSpot. I value everybody's input and experience with the tools. So I really want this group to be a collaborative place where everyone feels like they are welcome to contribute. So that's just a little bit about me. And by the way, Tribute Media uses HubSpot Marketing Pro, Sales Pro, kind of a legacy version of that, and Service Pro. So we're kind of dabbling in all of the tools these days. And the only thing that's going to make introductions tricky is when I am presenting, I can't see the bevy screen. So I'm going to actually jump out of that really quick. Maybe. All right, we're going to go around now that I can see our little gallery panel here. We're going to go around. Howard, will you say hello?
Hi, I'm Howard. I work for a company called MTC Solutions. We primarily focus on wooden fasteners. So the easier way to put it is screws, connectors, for large industrial buildings, but for wood buildings. So it's super eco-friendly. And currently we're using Marketing Hub Professional, Sales Hub Enterprise, and Service Hub Professional. And I have to do a lot of coordination and troubleshooting for all of the hubs there. So it's a fun job.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you're sort of like the HubSpot administrator for the organization.
Pretty much, yeah. It wasn't supposed to be, but it ended up turning into that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Cody, will you say hello?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Cody Sauer. I'm with Condoc. We're based in Boise, Idaho. We're a construction management software application. We help primarily general contractors in the commercial realm manage documentation, field to office, and there's some project management elements in that as well. And kind of one of our claim to fame is we kind of simplify the entire process, field to office, and then we really work closely with our clients to make the application as intuitive as possible. We've been using just the HubSpot, the free version for basically marketing and a CRM. We switched over from some archaic PHP program a long time ago. Anyways, that's kind of everything in a nutshell for you guys.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Alex, I know you're having some mute issues. Oh, you got it. Yay.
Yeah, for some reason it's allowing my computer's mic, so I don't know how good the quality is. Anyways, I'll start. My name's Alex Foster. I currently work for In-Time Tech. So we're kind of a whole software solution company. We do firmware. We work with HP, Simplot, some big names, Idaho Stars. We're currently doing a lot of stuff for the state of Idaho as well. And we're also overseas. So we have around 700 employees over in India. But anyways, I'm certified on the marketing software as well as, I'm getting an unstable connection, so sorry if I'm spotty, but I'm also a certified HubSpot developer. But some days I don't feel that way. But anyways, so I don't know quite what level all our accounts are, but we have access to the whole thing, contacts, running campaigns. We really use all of what HubSpot does. So I've really been doing maintenance on the websites, things like that. So that's what I'm up to.
Yeah. And, Alex, I was going to do my best as, a friend of In-Time Tech to introduce you if you couldn't chime in there. But yeah, to your point, you guys really are using everything HubSpot has to offer. I believe you're on Marketing Enterprise now. If not, I think you have the Content Management System Enterprise version. I know you guys are definitely up there using a lot of the tools. So yeah, welcome. Madison.
You actually get all of us.
Oh, good.
Oh, no, you don't. Well, Katie and Taylor and I are up at the front, hanging out, watching you. I am one of our account managers here at Tribute Media. I also help quite a bit with, all things Hug, not necessarily all things Bevy yet. So we're working through all of that. But, we use HubSpot every day for all of our clients. a bunch of different portals in our own Tribute Media Marketing. So it's definitely been interesting. I've only been doing it for 2 years now, but constantly learning, constantly growing and figuring out new ways to utilize it has been really cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks. And, I guess for all the other Tribute Media folks here in the Meridian office up there at the front, if you just want to chime in and say hello through Madison's login there.
Hi, I know you can't see me, but I'm Katie. I have been working in HubSpot for about 4.5 years before I even started working at Tribute. So I got a couple certifications underneath my belt, and I'm an inbound marketing strategist here at Tribute. So I'm always looking for new ways to help our clients generate new leads with HubSpot.
And then I'm Taylor. I'm actually fairly new. I've been the new social media specialist for about a month now. So HubSpot is still pretty new to me. I'm still learning a lot. So I'm excited to learn about data hygiene.
Awesome. Thanks, team. And we've got another Tribute person on the line, but I'm going to just, for my sanity, go in order on my screen. So Emery, we're coming to you in just a few minutes here. Daniel, say hello.
Hi, I'm Daniel Ramirez. I'm actually a senior at Boise State this semester, and I'm interning with Idaho Veterans Chamber of Commerce, a new nonprofit. So I'm just here trying to learn, help them out with their marketing, as far as I also gain experience on marketing too, since I don't know any.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Daniel. And I see Yori's on as well, and she's next on my list. So Yori, if you want to say hello too.
Hi, I'm Yori De La Rosa with the Idaho Veterans Chamber of Commerce. I'm the membership and business director. So I'm just on here also to learn a little bit more also.
Awesome. Rhonda.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, I'm Rhonda. I am with Northwest Safety. We do a lot of job audits, OSHA training, forklift training, serial lift training, all sorts of training to keep the guys in construction able to go home at night. And right now I'm just on to see what I can learn.
Yes. And Rhonda, I know I should know this off the top of my head, but I think you are using HubSpot free tools, the CRM and maybe some of the email functionality. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome. And we'll talk to you later this week too.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Lisa from Power.
Hey, I'm Lisa Conlon from Power Engineers. Good to see you, Lindsey, and everybody. So Power is an consulting engineering firm. We also service environmental clients, and we're really across a wide range of industries: power generation, power delivery, wires and poles. We have some government contracts. We do some food and beverage, as well as what we call facilities, which is buildings and those kinds of things. So lots and lots of diversity with our business. I'm in the marketing and communications, Marcom department, and I have just recently inherited our kind of, I guess, for lack of a better way, the marketing account for that marketing hub. So I'm kind of the account manager, not really so much a super user, but really just trying to clarify and get people what they need as quickly as possible. So whether it's email, landing pages, so on and so forth. So just here to learn more. And we are definitely just starting into a little bit of a data hygiene project ourselves. So this is definitely going to be fitting for today.
Yes. And Lisa, yeah, while you may not feel like a Power user yet, Power Engineers is using, I think, kind of, along with In-Time Tech, you are on, I believe, some enterprise tools and really have a lot of HubSpot tools and resources at your fingertips. So hopefully this will just give you one more tool in the tool belt.
Exactly. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Emery, another Tribute folks on the phone.
Yeah, hi, I'm Emery. I'm in Tribute Southern California office, which is just me in my house. And I'm an inbound marketing specialist in SEO.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. And Nikki Wardle.
caught me off guard. My name's Nikki. I am with Intermountain Pet Hospital. We are a pet hospital. And I've been using HubSpot since 14, 15, somewhere in there. And yeah, I'm pretty sure our data needs scrub, so I'm ready to scrub.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Nikki. Anna.
Hi there. My name is Anna, and I'm automation specialist slash strategist with a company by the name of Real Access. We are a go-to-market agency in the technology space, as well as a HubSpot platinum partner, working on getting up to diamond here by hopefully end of next quarter. And we use marketing professional, sales, starter, and a couple of the other starters, but we help businesses with all of the different hubs besides operations. So yeah.
New to all of us, so totally fair. Anna, that's so awesome. Congratulations. I don't know how new that role is for you, but I know that, you've been a member of this Hug community for a while and, in a couple different roles. So this sounds like an exciting new adventure and great fit for your experience so far.
Oh, yes. It's actually pretty new since July. I finally took the dive away from freelancing and doing consulting to being a part of a bigger, awesome team, and it's been great. So yeah.
Well, that is so awesome. And another
able to attend, but yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, I would love to connect with you offline because forever I've been trying to get other partners a part of this hug. So let's be sure to connect offline about that.
Sure. Sounds good.
So glad to have you. Thanks. Mindy.
Hi, Lindsay. Mindy Anderson here. I've got a few of my team members. I'm the executive director for the Idaho Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and we just transitioned and integrated our Excel spreadsheets and Microsoft documents and emails and constant contact into HubSpot. And we have a couple of interns that are working on trying to clean up our data and getting all that information into HubSpot. So today is very timely for us to just learn some more information so that we can help them be more successful with our data integration.
Awesome. So glad you're here and so happy to announce for you and any other, I don't think we had any other nonprofits on the call today, but HubSpot for Nonprofit launched today. So that's really exciting. And we are digging into what is going to be possible and available for our nonprofits. So super excited to share more about that as we learn it. So stay tuned. And finally, Bill.
Yes, hello there. My name is Bill Nigaman. My company is Crawford Group. I am a business growth executive with them. I've been here for roughly 2 months now, so I'm fairly new. But Crawford is a marketing consulting firm. We help in all areas of marketing, communications, and events. I've been in sales for roughly 10 years, but used 3 or 4 different CRMs through that process, and I'm new to HubSpot. So I am just here to learn some new tips and tricks for the CRM.
Awesome. And so, are you guys using the free CRM or are you using any?
I think we have some upper level package because I've been doing sequencing email campaigns. So I think maybe one of the middle tiers.
Yeah, it sounds like at least Sales Pro,
right,
or even maybe some legacy version of Sales or something. So yeah, awesome. Well, cool. Hopefully in sales sequences, a lot of what we are talking about today will be super relevant. So
excellent.
Glad you are here. I think I got everybody. That's everybody I can see on my screen. But if I missed you, speak up. All right. Cool. Well, I'm going to go back to sharing here and we will get started with the topic of the day. All right, so data hygiene, presented by me. I know last time we had just like such an impressive HubSpot professional here, but like I said, you get me today. Hopefully this will all be exciting and useful information. And for any questions I can't answer, we will definitely be sure to do some digging and follow up with the group here. So let's get started by taking a look at what bad hygiene looks like. So this is maybe how to know if your data could use a little cleanup. It's also some of the things that some pain points that you might be suffering from if you do have some outdated or just bad data in your CRM. So it could look like exceeding your HubSpot contact tier. So, depending on when you bought your HubSpot subscription, you may have the access to the new tool with marketing and non-marketing contacts. If you do, you've got a little bit more control over your contact count and who you're being charged for and who you're not. But if you have an older version of HubSpot, you might not have that advantage, but we'll talk a little bit here in just a minute about some advantages that you might have from that little bit of a legacy product there. But basically what it all comes down to is any of us that are using anything beyond the free tools, anything in the marketing starter pro, that kind of thing, you are paying an amount for HubSpot based on how many contacts you have. So the legacy version comes with 1,000 and you pay in groups of 1,000 anywhere exceeding that. And for the newer version with marketing and non-marketing contacts, it comes with 2,000 and you pay in blocks of 5,000 contacts after that. So as you know, it's just important. If you are on, Marketing Pro and you have the contact or marketing contacts feature and you have 2,001 contacts, you are probably frustrated because you're paying too much for basically that one contact. Or, likewise, if you maybe have that older version of HubSpot 1,000 it comes with and you have 1,004 contacts, you're probably paying $50 a month for 4 contacts, and that's not ideal. So, there's some magic that you can work in kind of making sure that you're not paying for more contacts than you need. But we're going to be just, like I said, be talking about that today, how to make sure that you stay under your contact tier before you end up paying more than you'd like to. Also, bad data hygiene results just in poor email deliverability. So there's, and again, we're going to be diving deeper into all of these, but there's, just the contact or the emails that just don't get sent to certain contacts. There are emails that may try to send through HubSpot, but because of bad data, they bounce, and then you have a lower deliverability rate than you might like. And then there's also maybe people who mark you as spam or unsubscribe from your emails because of some data hygiene issues. And then also the result of not having your data in order could be some really embarrassing personalization gone wrong kind of situations. Like I said, I'm sure we've all been on the receiving end of, the dear space blank comma, when somebody doesn't actually have your first name, but they've got your email and they decide to send you a personalized email or, it can definitely get more embarrassing when it comes to other property tokens that you might pepper throughout your email. So that's always something to be mindful of too when you're thinking about keeping your data clean. So let's talk a little bit more about contact tiers. So if you don't know how many contacts you have available in HubSpot, and as long as you are an administrator on your HubSpot account, this is how you can find out. Up in that top right corner where you've got your little avatar and the little drop down, you can drop that down there and go to account and billing. And this is similar to what you'll see. So this screen capture that I'm sharing here, this is Tribute Media's. Since we've been using HubSpot for a long time, we're currently still on the legacy version of Marketing Hub Professional. If you have marketing contacts, it will say that. It will say Marketing Hub Professional or Enterprise - marketing contacts. And so if you do have marketing contacts, instead of it just being displayed here, you'll see view usage limits, and you'll click on that. And that's where you'll then get this information about how many contacts you have available and how many are being used. And then if you have marketing contacts, it'll say of your marketing contacts, and that will tell you a total contact count. So basically, and actually as I was preparing this, I actually was doing a little data cleanup as I went. So I can tell you as of right this moment, Tribute Media actually has 3,500, 4,000 contacts used. So I cleaned up about 25 today, just as I was, taking my own medicine. And I was putting together a few last minute slides here and thinking through a couple of opportunities for us to clean stuff up. So anyway, that is how you see how many contacts you have in HubSpot. So now the question is, so what happens if you go over your contact tier limit? So I touched on it a little bit a moment ago, but basically once the number of marketing contacts exceeds your current contact tier, you'll automatically be upgraded to the next contact tier and will receive a prorated charge the following day. So this is the most recent documentation from HubSpot, and it mostly, as of right now, it only pertains to if you have the marketing contact version. In the past, I have even shared in HubSpot user groups the little hack of, you get until your next billing period, your next billing date to get your contacts down. So let's say you pay for HubSpot annually. When you sign up, just for easy tracking, we'll say January 1st of 2021, you can go all over the place during 2021 because HubSpot won't look at your HubSpot or your contact count until January 1st of 2022. Now, still technically true of those legacy versions, but I just want to say I don't know how long that will last. It used to be something, like I said, that we would talk about. I mean, even in some scenarios, and again, this is kind of why they introduced marketing contacts, right? They knew people were trying for these workarounds. Like you'd get, maybe you're paying for 3,000 contacts, but you get up to 4,000 and you don't want to pay for them. So you just export your, 1,000 least engaged contacts for your renewal and you upload them again. It's obviously a lot of work to save a couple bucks. And, it also, you can lose data that way and things like that. So it's not ideal. And I think HubSpot's response to knowing that people were, kind of working the system that way was to introduce that marketing contacts product so that you could go ahead and just move your less engaged contacts, or actually, I'm going to use In Time Tech as an example here. I just know from working in your HubSpot portal and doing some of your onboarding that in your service hub, you guys have access to this knowledge base where you can provide support for, self-serve support documentation for your clients. Well, that means you mentioned you've got these really big clients like HP. Well, if you had to pay for all of your contacts within HP, and those people were contacts, not because you're marketing to them or selling to them, but because they need to go into your knowledge base and access some gated support documentation, well, that can get out of control really fast. So I'm not going to say that I'm the reason or In Time Tech is the reason that marketing contacts are a thing. But, this is something I brought to HubSpot when I was doing your guys' onboarding over a year ago. And, that one of our channel consultants really did kind of run up the flagpole. Now, of course, I know they were probably already working on something because this has been a pain point for a while. But, it was shortly after having that conversation and saying well, they don't want to have to pay for hundreds and hundreds of HP contacts to be able to access their documentation, because that's not something that you guys are going to see an ROI on. So, again, marketing contacts was sort of the answer to that problem. And as HubSpot has, solved more problems and offered more tools like customer support tools, they realized they needed to have a different solution. So you have contacts that you can market to, and then just your other contacts that you can't email, through, you can't send marketing emails to, but that you can keep in your HubSpot portal and in your CRM for other purposes. So anyway, that's all that is to say. I guess in summary, that if you have the marketing contacts tool, you are really being kind of evaluated on a day-to-day basis. So that's where keeping your marketing contact count under that tier limit is really important. If you're not, you still have some time. As of today, you can, look at your next billing date and say, okay, if I'm, a handful of contacts over my count, I've got this long to get that all sorted out. So yeah, that's a little bit about that. I guess I should just ask, are there any questions about HubSpot's contact tiers and things like that before we move on to the deliverability?
I guess just to clarify, I know for like HP, we only do, I don't know what they do for marketing. I'm sure they have a massive marketing department, but we just do like firmware and software and stuff for them. I don't know if that's relevant.
Yeah. I know and maybe it is just still something that the team is working through, but I think big picture, that was, one of the reasons that Service Hub was really interesting to In Time Tech, is because you guys do, roll out these, software solutions and app solutions for these large companies. And in order to be able to continue to support them, it would be nice to have like a self-serve support documentation center in that sort of stuff. So that was kind of the idea there.
Yeah, 100%. You actually just nailed that. We have a lot of where we market those things for them. 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, I can't see the Q&A right now. So if you're dropping questions in there, Madison, just stop me if I need to answer anything now. Otherwise, we'll circle back at the end for any questions. So
Nothing quite yet.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, to talk a little bit more about deliverability, wow, I can speak, and the not sent category of your email. So we're going to talk a little bit more about things that actually affect your deliverability rate in terms of email analytics. But first, we're going to start with like the ones that actually don't even touch your deliverability because they don't even attempt to send out of HubSpot. So when you go to queue up a marketing email and you put in the lists that you want to send to or whatever, HubSpot will not even attempt to send to email addresses that have previously hard bounced, folks who have unsubscribed from that specific subscription type. So for instance, Tribute Media has Tuesday tips. If we are sending a Tuesday tip to our Tuesday tip email, but somewhere along the way, someone on that list has actually opted out of specifically the Tuesday tip subscription, but maybe they still want to get like our customer newsletter or get information about events, HubSpot will not send them anything that is categorized as a Tuesday tip subscription type, or anyone, of course, who's opted out of all email communication. So that means, if you're attempting to send to a list of 350 of those have previously bounced, they will only attempt to send 250. And that's why that doesn't necessarily affect your deliverability rate, but bounces and just bounces do. I'm sorry. So, and then the other category that HubSpot will not even attempt to send to if you click the box to exclude it is contacts with low engagement. And I have a couple slides on that here coming up. But of course, when you are going to set up a marketing email, that you'll see that checkbox at the bottom and you have the option to unclick it if you do want it to send. But if, by default, or I guess depending on your settings, I know Tribute Media by default, that low engagement checkbox is clicked. So what I have here on the slide is just kind of a glimpse at, if you're looking at a specific emails analytics, over there on the left-hand side, you'll see how many were sent, how many were delivered, and so on and so forth. So you can see from this example, of the 200, or I guess this list was even larger than 293, but 44 were not even attempted to send because of any of those reasons over there. And then, of course, that one that bounced, that counted against our deliverability rate. So the deliverability rate for this email was like 99.8% or something like that. And so, yeah, this is that unengaged contacts. This is kind of what it looks like when you are setting up that email. The box may be checked by default, or you can go into your HubSpot settings and select to not have it checked by default. And then, when you click on, if you see this at the bottom, or, if you see that little checkbox and you want to see, okay, who are my unengaged contacts, you can open this up in a new tab. And then what it's going to do is it's going to start creating a list for you, and it's going to tell you the criteria. So what you're seeing here is kind of HubSpot's out of the box criteria for what an unengaged contact looks like. So you can edit this once you open it and you save it off as an active list. You can make changes to this. So you can even change what it's called. You can change maybe you don't send emails very often. So to say that someone hasn't opened your last 11, maybe that's too many. Maybe you need to stop sending at 6, or, you can kind of customize that to your own organization's needs. But this is, like I said, out of the box. It just means that if sends since last engagement is equal or greater to 16, or if they haven't opened a marketing email, you can, I won't read it all off to you, but these are kind of the, this is maybe, I guess, HubSpot's best judgment of, okay, these people are not opening your emails. They're not really interested in what you're sending. So we used to talk about the unengaged contacts, honestly, as like, oh, it's just a vanity metric. If you want to keep trying, just keep sending it. The only people who would check that box are, people who are, trying to make their numbers look better, because if you only send it to your most engaged contacts, you're going to automatically have a higher open rate. And, well, on the surface, that's true. If you only send to your most engaged contacts, you're going to have a better open rate. That means more than just a metric that maybe you're in, if you're in the marketing department and you're reporting to the president of your company and you're trying to say, look, I did a good job. There's more to it than that. Email providers like Gmail and Microsoft Outlook, those kinds of things, they have algorithms just like Google does. So if you historically have a bad deliverability rate and bad open rate, you may not get into people's inboxes, or you might not get into their primary inbox anyway. So if you've ever subscribed to an email list and you have Gmail and you notice that they're going to your promotions tab, it's probably because that particular sender just doesn't have a very good email sending authority, and it could be because of their historical open rates. So basically what it comes down to is, if you have a better open rate, you're going to have better deliverability in the future. It also means if you're not sending to unengaged contacts, you're probably going to have fewer people unsubscribing to your emails, which again is going to result in just having higher sending authority and better deliverability in the future. It's also going to prevent spam reports. So even though you may be sending to somebody who did opt into your list, if you annoy them, they might decide to mark you as spam. I can't explain why some people do that, but they do. And so, it's just better to kind of, I liken this to hitting the snooze button on sending emails to the people just who aren't engaging with them. So it doesn't mean you're deleting them out of your system yet necessarily. It just means you're going to ease up. But I do think that it's important to have a plan to re-engage those contacts at some point. Otherwise, what is the point in having them in your CRM? And then we may be talking about them in the next part of this presentation where we talk about culling contacts. But, have a plan for re-engagement. If you're going to send something to even your unengaged contacts, make sure it is your highest value content. Make sure that you have a really compelling subject line, something that's going to finally get them to say like, oh yeah, I do know these guys and I do want to open this email. Another way to do that is going to be through personalization. Use their name or their company name in that subject line to really catch their attention. Or as I like to say, call it out, name it and claim it. Maybe your subject line is something like, hey, you're not opening our emails. Bob or whatever, like, do you still want to be our friend? I think that sometimes that is what it takes to get people's attention. And then maybe you invite them to let you know if they don't want to receive your emails, instead of going and unsubscribing or marking you as spam. If they just choose to hit that reply and say, okay, yeah, sorry, you're right. I thought I wanted to get this newsletter, but it turns out I don't have time to read it. Go ahead and take me off this specific list. But please do let me know in the future if if you're having an event or things like that. So it just gives you a chance to re-engage contacts and give them a way to sort of opt out without, doing the things that get you on like the naughty list for deliverability. Okay, so before we move on to ideas for deleting contacts, any questions on email deliverability and its relationship to data hygiene at all? All right, well, I'm going to keep going then. So some ideas for culling your contacts. Lists are a great way to, active lists, I should say specifically, are a great way to kind of keep track of the contacts that maybe need to be deleted. So just some ideas for some different lists that you could create and keep an eye on, bounces and unsubscribes. So like I said, if somebody has unsubscribed from all, or have previously hard bounced, HubSpot's not going to attempt to send to them in the future anyway. So really that's where you ask the question of, well, then why am I paying for that contact in terms of having them be a part of that contact count that, affects how much you pay for HubSpot? Now, again, every business, every organization is different. If you have a valid phone number or you like to send a Christmas card and you have a physical address, those are all fine reasons to keep somebody in your CRM. But again, when you think about the CRM and the fact that you are paying for contacts based on how many people you email, that's when it's good to ask yourself the question of, if I don't have a valid email in the sense that it's bounced or they've unsubscribed to all, then why are they still a contact? Ultra low engagement, I showed you kind of what HubSpot's low engagement looks like. Maybe you clone that criteria and up it a little bit and say, okay, well, if someone hasn't opened my last 30 emails, like they're probably never going to do it again. So maybe you kind of create your own modified criteria for what a very, very unengaged contact looks like and decide if you want to get rid of that list of folks. And then IP country, not in the US. Now, if you don't do business outside of the US and you've got a bunch of people on your contact list that are not in the US, like maybe you don't need to have them there. This is different for every organization. Well, I'll just use, again, Tribute Media as an example. We do business in Australia and Canada and the US and everything. But outside of that, not much. So I'm not super interested in contacts from other countries. However, if they are in the UK and they want to subscribe to our Tuesday tips email, like I'm not going to not send them information they're asking for. So I may have a list that says, IP country is not US, Canada, or Australia. And they are not a member of Tuesday Tips or, something to that effect. So basically, I'm getting rid of anybody who hasn't specifically opted into a specific kind of email from us, and they're not in the US. That basically kind of whittles down, or creates a list of people who are likely, I'm never going to reach out to them to try to do business with them. They're not asking to hear from me. They just downloaded something a year ago and they've never come back to the website since. Those are not important contacts for us to keep. Also, we have a list at Tribute Media that's called spammers, and you might use like an email address contains criteria and take out people who commonly spam your forms. So for us, that looks like Ranks India, Link Build, hackers.com, the newest one. Oh my gosh, Joshua Cohen, your new secret weapon or something like that. Literally his software is a bot that spams forms and he will not stop spamming our form, and I'm like ready to have our admin like fill out 10 contact forms on his website for every one they do on ours, because I'm getting so tired of him. But anyway, that's a good way to, you know, filter out people who have been contacting you to solicit their services to you, and that you should not be paying to keep their contact record in your CRM. Message contains. This is another way to weed out spammers. So dear sir or madam is a good hallmark of a, you know, spam form submission, or greetings from blah, blah, blah company. We do blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so these are just good ways. Another, you know, example I always go to is, you know, and again, it's just kind of, it goes to show you how every organization has its own kind of specific needs. But we had a client whose company was often like, they were an internet service provider and they were often confused with a cell phone provider. Now, granted, this wasn't necessarily for the purpose of deleting contacts, but for otherwise doing some different kind of outreach, and then eventually getting rid of those contacts. But we would actually filter out messages that contained cell phone or cell service or things like that that indicated they were reaching out to the wrong company. So again, just some ideas of how you can use active lists to at least give you something to review. Now, again, this is just to create a list. It doesn't mean that you just go like blanket blindly, you know, delete every contact from every list, but it does give you a place to start reviewing contacts and deciding if they're people you should keep. Like, so for that cell phone example, you know, we didn't want to just immediately delete those people because maybe their entire message was, I'm contacting you about my internet service. You can call me on my cell phone, you know, so there's a chance that a message contains the word cell phone, but they're not contacting you about that. So again, just kind of another example of a way to get probably like 95% of the people that you know, basically that list is going to capture, you know, 95% of the people you want to delete. So just another, you know, thing to keep in mind, best practices and ideas for, you know, whittling down your contact count is just stay on top of it. If you do it often, I mean, believe me, I've been a part of big data cleanup projects, and it's excruciating to go through, you know, a list, you know, when one of those lists that on that previous slide yields 450 contacts, and you've got to kind of like scan each message to see if the cell phone thing is there and if it's in context or not. I mean, that's excruciating. So the more often you can do it, you know, having some kind of cadence of, you know, a monthly or weekly just audit of those, the easier it's going to be. Especially again, given what I said about, you know, if you're on marketing contacts and it's kind of a day-to-day thing, you want to make sure that you're getting rid of inaccurate or, you know, bad contacts very consistently. And then, you know, another good way to do it is after you send an email, go back, you know, and just immediately look at who's in those not sents, who unsubscribed on that email, who reported that particular email as spam, and just delete those contacts on the fly. So, you know, let's say you send out a customer newsletter to 300 people once a month. Well, chances are that once a month, if you are looking at those contacts, you know, maybe you have one unsubscribe and 3 bounces, and you look at it and you confirm like, oh yeah, I know that person left that company, or, you know, otherwise is irrelevant, delete. Oh, that email says gmail.com. Oops, that was just a typo. So I'm going to correct that email for next time. And okay, that person, I don't really know them anyway. And, you know, I don't care that they unsubscribe. Now you just delete, update an email, and you're done in 3 minutes. And, you know, now you don't have to think about it again. And they won't hit any of those lists because you just took care of it right away. Solicitations, again, like if you are in, and hopefully someone in your organization should be getting a notification when somebody fills out a form on your website. I receive all contact form submissions for Tribute Media. I get to my email, it says, you know, you have a new HubSpot contact. And at the bottom of those emails, it says open in HubSpot. So when Josh Cohen emails me every day through when I get the notification every day for that contact form submission, I open in HubSpot and I delete. So again, just a good way to stay on top to make sure you don't gather up a bunch of, solicitation contacts that you're going to end up paying for. Again, when thinking about the whole point of a CRM is to be able to contact the customer, you should definitely evaluate people who don't have an email or a phone number. How would you reach them? Like, what would be the point of just having their name and company name, So again, it's different for everybody. Maybe there's some reason, but I do find that people kind of default to like holding on because maybe it will be something someday. Well, you can always add them back later. They're probably not benefiting you in any way if you don't have an email or phone number for them. No first name. Again, maybe you do have an email and you can email them, but if you can't ever personalize that email and you don't even know who you're talking to, again, I would just ask the question of, is this a good contact to have in my contact count? And then also unqualified leads. And we'll actually talk about that a little bit more, but there's probably some point where if you've been in a sales conversation with somebody and you've determined that they're not a good fit, eventually it's probably good to just get them out of the CRM, because if they're not going to do business with you ever, then again, kind of what's the point? So just a few more tools for data cleanliness here. And now I apologize. These tools do just apply to Marketing Pro and Hire. You can do a kind of a manual process for this, but I'm just kind of talking about the actual tools that you'll see in HubSpot when you are in your contacts. And I should have grabbed a screenshot, but basically contacts. In fact, let me bounce out of this really quick and show you. So if you're in your contacts and you go to actions and you have manage duplicates and data quality. So these are the two things that I'm talking about here in this slide. And data quality, that one is in beta. So you may not have that. But I do. So neener. Hopefully that's something that they will roll out. I gave a good feedback today. So hopefully we'll start seeing those across all hubs. But managing duplicates, you can do this for contacts and companies. Now, again, contacts are when we're talking about contact tiers, that's the only thing that really matters for like when it comes to, actual dollars and cents. But it will basically HubSpot flags different contacts and companies that they see as duplicates. So again, I mentioned earlier today, I called about 25 contacts because I realized we just had duplicates, whether it's because they have, an email alias. So one is their first name at company.com and the other one is first initial last name at company.com. And so HubSpot created two records for them and you merge them. When you do merge duplicate contacts, it will retain the activity from both. So no need to be nervous there. And it always takes the most recently updated value for that property. So if you are merging contacts and the one that you're merging into doesn't have data for a property, but the old one does, it will put in that data. So this was honestly something that made me nervous for a really long time because I didn't want to lose information or things like that. But I have found that it's pretty solid in terms of, you keep everything, but it just moves it into one contact. Also the data quality one, this is a little bit, whereas the managing duplicate pertains to getting your contact count down, the data quality one pertains to that personalization issue. So this is going to flag any kind of formatting issues with their name or their email address. So for instance, I don't know how big your monitor is that you're viewing this presentation on, if you can see, but Shelly here is actually in the system as Shelly with quotes. So if you don't want to send an email, dear Shelly, allegedly, if that is your real name, then, this is where you can quickly edit and, HubSpot gives you a recommendation, like, how about we drop those quotes and just call her Shelly? It'll also flag anybody maybe who's in all caps or anything that it perceives to be a formatting issue. So just like I said, a newer tool that's in beta right now that you might find really helpful for making sure you don't have any of those embarrassing personalization gone wrong kind of situations. And then I guess here's just, this is where I wanted to elaborate just on how to maybe think about some of these things. Because like I said, I know that, for a long time, we maybe held on a little too tightly. I see it happen with some of our clients, quite often actually, where it's like, well, you feel like you work so hard to get these leads, these contacts, like you don't want to just start deleting them. But I think that there are, at least some things to consider. So I'll just kind of talk really quickly about a few common ones. So the obviously fake name or bogus email. So, we have a lot of downloadable content on our website. So sometimes we get people downloading our form with names like JKLYHGRF, just that common little keyboard slam. And, I'm not going to send an email, dear whatever sequence of letters I just said. But a couple things to think about there is, like I said, for us, for Tribute Media specifically, we do have a lot of content on our website. Sometimes someone might come to fill out a form to download something and they don't know if it's any good yet. So they don't want to give over their information and have us start emailing them all the time, or, they don't know if they can trust us yet to be good stewards of their information. So they don't give us the real deal. Well, I could delete it right away, or because of what I know about how HubSpot uses cookies, I could decide, well, let's let JKLY blah, 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 look at that content, see if they still like us. And what might happen is they might come back to the website the next day and think, well, I really liked that email guide. Now I'm going to download this campaign planning tool. And now they realize that Tribute Media is offering something of value and they're a little more forthcoming with their information. So the next time they fill out the form, that person might actually update it with their real information. And so, that's maybe a case for holding on to something that is obviously fake for at least, maybe 30 days or something, to let them decide if they want to update their information. Now, obviously, if they do come back and fill out a new form and you've deleted them, HubSpot will create a new record, but it wouldn't have that history there. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to connect the dots that, Madison is actually JKLY, blah, blah, blah. So that's just, again, one thing to think about. Or maybe you're real close to your contact here and you don't have time for fake names and you just want to delete them. That's totally fine too. Leads from countries we don't serve. So, I've gone back and forth with this one. I recognize, at least maybe pre-COVID, that sometimes people, especially people who utilize services like Tribute Media's, they might work remotely. They might be a, digital nomad. And so maybe they are requesting our, buyer persona worksheets from Nepal. But also maybe they're the decision maker for a company in the US. So, it's hard to say sometimes. So, I didn't like to just go and delete everybody who wasn't, from a country that we did business with. So that's maybe a case for holding on to them for some time, just to see if they interact with you a lot and if they are actually a lead that might be somebody you would want to work with. And then unqualified leads. I kind of mentioned this in a previous slide, and I had that note of like, if it's not relevant to your sales team or other people in your organization. So again, some people might decide I'm going to delete anyone who isn't a qualified lead because, again, why would I pay for someone I'm never going to do business with? But sometimes there is a case for holding on to that, because what if you have a larger sales team and other people need to know and like see notes about why this lead isn't qualified? So, just for example, there are some people who've wanted to hire Tribute Media, but we've determined aren't a good fit for us. If I had a larger sales team, if it was, if we had a sales team, I guess I should say, I might want somebody else to know, hey, this person is, contacting us. They are saying they want our services, but they're not a good fit. And here's why. Like, kind of like a don't waste your time sort of note. So that might be the case for keeping unqualified leads in your CRM for a while. But again, like I said, every organization is different. So I'm just sort of like planting these seeds and giving you some fodder for, making some decisions for your own organization about how you want to deal with that stuff. So before I go into personalization issues, I've, talked a lot about deleting contacts and stuff. Any questions on any of that so far?
Yes, I do have quite a few questions.
Okay.
You literally have described the whole problem and bane of my existence in the company.
Okay.
In the best and worst possible ways, because the project is a 9,000, like close to about 9,000 contacts that need to be called. That's great. And then there's about 6,500 companies, quote unquote companies. And some of them, or majority of them, are duplicates. And there is no wonderful, beautiful way to just fix all of it except merging them and deleting stuff. And I'm a one-man person to take care of this. I'm not sure exactly how to quite do it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, just by even starting with some of those lists, that can give you a good idea of, there's probably some low-hanging fruit of things that you can just delete, and then merging. We had a huge problem with duplicate companies for a while. I couldn't even tell you what went wrong and when, but for whatever reason, we had just like, I don't know, almost 100 like duplicate companies and stuff. And like I said, at first I was really worried that I was going to lose information, but I can tell you from experience, it's worked 99% how I wanted it to and how I expected it to when I merged those. So, just that alone could solve a bulk of your problems. So yeah, hopefully that gave you some good ideas. But if you did want to dig in a little bit more offline, I'd be happy to jump in your portal with you and kind of put some of this stuff into action and just really see what can be done and quickly.
Yeah, the only drawback for my company, just a quick add, is that I'm in a similar position as Alex, and that majority of the contacts, actually over 80%, are general contractors, engineers, and architects. And so their names don't change, but their emails do. And so I can't just get rid of them. And therein lies my conundrum. It's almost like chicken and egg. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough one to navigate, like I would say, like right now off the top of my head, but I do think that there's definitely something there, and if we could dig in a little bit more, I honestly, I think I'd be super interested and just like would have it's just the kind of like fun problem solving kind of thing I like to do in HubSpot. So let's connect on that at some point, because I don't have like a simple answer. It is probably going to be a bit situational. And if you don't already have marketing contacts, do you know if you do?
No, we have the legacy version. So it's just kind of like made my situation very difficult, because I know for a fact that if it's an existing contact, if we go over that if we go over the 10,000 mark, it'll just kind of like, ta-da, pay more, please.
I do think like what you said makes me wonder if you would be, it's always, you got to weigh all your options, right? Like there may be some advantages to the legacy version you have, weighing those pros and cons, but it seems like you might be a good candidate for actually moving into the marketing contacts version. So we could actually like price it out or work with your channel consultant to or your customer service person to figure out what the best route would be for that, like where you would pay less.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to talk to the accountant and also the owner of the company as well. But yeah, it might be a good idea for
gather
sure.
the information and
Yeah,
then go to them for sure.
yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, we see this stuff a lot. So anybody else have any questions or comments on any of that? Okay, cool. Well, we're going to talk about the personalization issues. And really, what that comes down to is it all starts in your properties. So, some things to look at if you are finding that you're having any issues with personalization and you're, seeing things go out, or you're testing an email as contacts and those tokens aren't populating properly. There's a couple things that you could look at. Do you have any integrations that are mapping from one software tool to HubSpot, or like an import that you've done where maybe properties weren't mapped properly? And is that something to look at? So just a quick example with something that Tribute Media encountered recently with a client. We had an API that was, it was basically making sure that when someone filled out, it wasn't just the regular like, oh, HubSpot tracks form submissions and creates contact record. Actually, sorry, backtrack. That's what it was, is we were trying to just use HubSpot's built-in functionality of someone fills out a form on a website, there's the tracking, it automatically creates them as a contact in HubSpot. Well, the problem was when it was doing it that way, that the website platform that they were using had a property called username, and that username was actually an email address. But the way that just the website was built and the way that platform had it, that username's token was name. And so HubSpot kept putting that in as the first name. So we had a bunch of contact records where the first name was an email address. So what we had to do, instead of using HubSpot's baked in, collected form tracking, was to actually build an API so that we could actually map those specifically and say, this one goes to username, and this goes to first name, and this goes to last name. And so, these are just things that you'll encounter when you're using multiple platforms and different tools. Also, should some of your forms have cookies disabled? So another kind of real life example is if you often go to trade show, remember trade shows, in the future and in the before times when you were at a trade show and you maybe wanted to have the ability for people to sign up for an email, newsletter or something, or download a piece of content that gets sent to their email, you have multiple people walking up to the same device and filling out the form. If you have your cookies enabled on that form, it's just going to keep overwriting it again and again. So Lindsey walks up, fills it out, walks away. Madison comes up, starts filling it out. Well, now Lindsey just got changed to Madison because it's using cookies. So, if you have forms that are specifically used for sign-ins at events or things like that, disable your cookies to make sure that you are truly, getting new contacts created each time somebody fills out the form. Another common thing that we see is duplicate or similar property fields. I honestly kind of hate that HubSpot baked into its general, contact properties has phone number and mobile phone number. Like, what year is it? Do we really need both of those things? And I see so many people that don't consistently use it correctly. So maybe in one form they've dragged over the phone number field, but in another one they drag over mobile phone, which means you have a bunch of contacts that only have one phone number, but some of them are under phone number and some of them are under mobile. It just can lead to all kinds of issues. Maybe not for personalization, but it was just one of those light bulbs I had when I was thinking about similar property fields. But another one that could be used in personalization is like a birthday. And so I have run into this before where HubSpot has baked in one contact property, and I believe it's called date of birth. But if you have an API or some kind of integration, or you're using collected forms or something like that, that, or you're doing an import and you've named that column birth date or DOB or something like that, it's going to create another field. So we've run into that where you have some people it's under date of birth and some people it's under DOB, and those are two different properties. So then you end up, if you try to use one, you've got half your contacts that just have a big blank in that space. First name versus full name is another common one. You know, we know if we're trying to use personalization, we're trying to make it feel personal, and it's not very personal to be like, dear Lindsey Bowshier. So, you know, again, just making sure that your first name field, you know, truly only has the first name, or you're not using a full name token there. And then set good global defaults. So that can be done in your, you know, HubSpot settings, but it can also be done kind of on the fly when you are building an email and you're using personalization. You'll see that there's a checkbox that says use global or do a custom one. And so that's just like, it's just good to have good global defaults for your most commonly used property fields, like first name or company name. So for example, Tribute Media uses friend as a default for first name. So if we just have your email and not your first name, you receive something from us that says, hi friend, blah, blah, blah. And it feels, you know, not stuffy or unnatural. For company name, we have just your company as the default. So that way, if an email subject line is, could your company token benefit? So, you know, mine would show up, could Tribute Media benefit from blah, blah, blah. But if we don't have it, it just says, could your company benefit from this, that, or the other thing? So anyway, just having good defaults will at least prevent that whole, you know, blank space in the middle of an email or, you know, in the salutation. So that's just, you know, something to just make sure you're doing for the most common fields. Let's see. And then tips for keeping your properties clean. So I always just recommend in your properties, in your HubSpot settings, create a custom group. So, you know, HubSpot has their contact properties, activity properties, analytic properties, those kinds of things. I like to just create a custom group where I put just miscellaneous things that I create specifically for Tribute Media. So I have one place that I can kind of go and look at before I create something new to make sure there isn't already something there. Also, if you are building out like a really large form for a specific purpose, like maybe some kind of survey or something like that, you could even create a property group just for a singular form where you just put all of the properties that you're using for that one form. And again, it just kind of is a good way to keep things clean and easy for you to see what properties you already have. And to that point, before you just go and create a new property, do a quick search and make sure that property doesn't already exist. So if you're tempted to hit that create property button, first use that little search bar and start kind of typing in some of the words that are adjacent to what you're thinking about creating. A good example is if I'm about to create birthday, I might be like, birth, and type that in first and say, oh, wait, they already have a date of birth property. I don't need to create a new one. So I just have seen, like I said, a common issue is those duplicate or similar fields that maybe didn't need to be created in the first place. Now, because that will happen from time to time, or if you have been using HubSpot for a long time, it probably has already happened. So a couple of things to keep in mind for easy ways to make mass updates. Obviously, if you have Marketing Pro or Enterprise, you have workflows. So that can be an easy way to say, like, if, you know, I don't want to use date of birth because dates are a whole different animal. But if you wanted to change something like industry or, oh man, a good example escapes me. But basically, if you've ever needed to mass update a property, you may have used workflows for that. You just say, if property is this, then change this property to that in your workflow. But if you don't have Marketing Pro, This is a very simple feature that I'm embarrassed to say took me a very long time to find or realize existed. And I just call that the magic checkbox. So if you need to mass update properties and you don't have Marketing Pro, you can go into just all of your contacts. Oh, sorry, I don't know what I just did there. You can go into all of your contacts, and if you click this, so right now you can see, I'm actually in companies. I was just grabbing a quick screen grab for a demo here, but you can check this checkbox and it will automatically click everything. So okay, actually here's a good idea, or here's a good example. If we just wanted to change the contact owner, let's say Corey Smith no longer worked for Tribute Media, I could actually filter this list to just be contacts that are owned by Corey. But I could basically say, if I could check this box and get all of Corey's contacts and say edit. And then when you click that edit, it will ask you what property you want to edit. And you would say HubSpot owner. And you could say, I could just click to Lindsey Bowshier, and then it would change all of Corey's contacts to mine. And then the other little feature, and this is good if you're doing some mass deletion off of lists too, that I didn't realize, I never saw this for like years for some reason, is if you click that checkbox at the top, it'll click everything. And in this particular view, I'm looking at 100, but there are 142 companies in this list. So when I click this checkbox, it selects all 100 on that screen, but then this says, do you want to select all 142 on this list? And I can say, yes, please. I want to change all of them in one fell swoop. Then you would click that, you would click your edit, change, pick which property that you want to change them all to, and make that change really quickly. So I just ran into this with a client the other day, and I was so excited to show him that he didn't have to go through page and page and page of contacts to make a simple change. And so I just wanted to share that with all of you in case you also were blind to this little this little banner here at the top like I was for so long. So that is, and on all of this, I know I covered a lot of stuff, and I mean, for some of you, it was probably super basic, and so for some of you, you're like, what? I have never done any of those things in HubSpot before. So if you want a little bit more of a tutorial on this, I mean, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to jump on like a 10-minute screen share and walk you through some of these specific things that I've shown you here today. If my screen grabs weren't good enough, or my exposition on it was confusing in any way, or just, otherwise not clear, I mean, please let me know. Because if I included it here today, it will probably take me 10 minutes to help you through in real life. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have those questions. With that, we have about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to open it up for just questions about the presentation today, questions for other people in the group that, your interest was piqued maybe when they introduced themselves. Like I said, I just want to open it up for questions.
Yeah, you had a few kind of come from Alex and now Howard as well about integrating custom API routes.
Okay.
I don't know if you.
I just
toggled a little bit more on that.
I just toggled over, so I am skimming through here really quick.
There's a whole lot of chat about workflows. Don't mind us.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, I'm just starting from the bottom. So Howard, the short answer is yes. I mean, with HubSpot, pretty much the sky's the limit, especially with, the enterprise versions and things like that. So it would definitely be something to evaluate, like based on what versions you have and what products you have. And it might just take adding a new product. Operations Hub, I think Anna mentioned that. It's kind of new to all of us. Operations Hub is a tool that is really useful in integrating different platforms with HubSpot, but also, I mean, completely custom APIs are possible. And, like we have some resources internally here at Tribute Media and also just with other like HubSpot folks that we've worked with in the past to kind of get you lined up with someone who could do an API for you, just depending on what you were looking at specifically.
I guess it had just piqued my interest because my background is full stack development.
Oh, huh.
But right now it's mainly web development with CSS and figuring out why something is broken. So I don't know if we necessarily have a need now. I guess I'm just, that kind of piqued my interest on maybe how I could come to the table and just take something on and say, hey, I think that this would be a really good idea. I believe that maybe, we can integrate this through some research, because I've kind of finished a lot of what needs to happen. So I know that this isn't specifically like for development, but I guess I'm just trying to think of maybe how I could try and implement something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, I'm not probably the best one to speak the language of, how all of that works, but can definitely get you connected to the right people who would, and that would be really, interested in helping you through something like that or getting your help with something like that as you learn more. So, let's see what else. Madison, can you remember any other kind of specific ones? I'm skimming through here really quick.
Not any real specific questions. We were just talking about, Nikki had pointed out that there's a way to like mass change workflows, and so we all got kind of curiously piqued interests.
Yeah, I know. And I realized that was probably where I was wandering a little bit, because I was, sharing this slide and thinking, oh, this would be so much easier to show you, like if I were sharing my screen in an actual HubSpot portal and had a real example queued up, which I did not. So sorry if I like fumbled that one there a little bit, but thank you, Nikki, for expanding on that, because I know you probably have done a few of those in your HubSpot experience. Well, any other?
Yes, I was. I did. I just wanted to explain to everybody that just when you merge, to make sure to turn off the workflow thing, because I did that and it caused some issues.
Aha. Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that, because just in my little merging today, I mean, it was no big deal. I kind of had in the back of my head the people I was merging. I kind of knew who they were, and I knew what lists they were on and stuff, but it triggered a notification in our Slack for like a new Tuesday tip subscriber when I merged a contact. So yeah, it was like I saw the thing come through and I was like, oh, if anyone thought that was weird, it was just because I merged this contact. I knew the customer didn't receive anything, but it did trigger a notification, and that could definitely be annoying if I would have done that for 100 people. So yep, that's a really good point, making sure that your workflow settings are not going to run those same people through again. Good call. Well, any other questions on this topic, or just like questions you want to pose or topics that you want to bring up that you're interested in learning about in future HubSpot user groups? And let me also just preface that by saying the more specific topic requests we have, the more likely we are to get a HubSpot speaker. So, don't hold back. Like if there's something really like niche and weird that you want to learn about, either there's an industry hug for that, or we can get a specific HubSpot expert on that, on your topic of choice. So please chime in.
Social media engagement and getting more followers.
Yes, I know, Nikki, you have totally brought that up before, and I keep putting it out there.
Yeah.
So I will keep putting it out there.
Okay.
And, we have a new social media specialist too. So, not to like totally put Taylor and I'm definitely not putting Taylor on the spot, but it's definitely something to just think about in the future of, and something for her to explore as she's getting comfortable with HubSpot tools. So, yes, good idea. I know we are all like eagerly anticipating the day that you can like schedule stories and do stuff there in HubSpot. So
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Personas. Oh my gosh, Howard. Yes, I have been outwardly and loudly annoyed with HubSpot over this. It's like there's so much emphasis on how important personas are, but it's like every day they seem to bury them more and more in the portals, and it's just so weird. So I have definitely my own opinions and takes on buyer persona development and things like that I'm always happy to kind of elaborate on. And I don't know why while they seem to be so important in the inbound methodology, they are so swept under the rug when it comes to actual HubSpot tools. It's baffling. So conversion of registering for events. And then yes, Mindy, I think that is a great idea. And, even just in our engagement together, I've got some ideas to share with you too. But I think that, I'm sure lots of folks using HubSpot would be interested in a topic like that. So Katie, workflow ideas for nonprofits. I know you've worked on a lot of those, and yes, love it. Okay. Yep. And I do. Yeah. It's getting to be 5 o'clock. So I know a lot of people have to jump here, and I'm certainly not looking to cut into anyone's happy hour. So I had so much fun with you guys. I hope everybody enjoyed this. This was great. So many great people on this call that I think would really benefit from knowing each other. So keep in mind, we have that LinkedIn group in our follow-up email after this event. I will, Madison will help me remember hint, hint, to send a link to the the LinkedIn HubSpot user. That way you guys can all talk amongst yourselves offline and, connect offline with each other, because I already heard a lot of connections that probably need to be made here just on this call. So please join the LinkedIn group. Please stay tuned for some follow-ups from this, as well as info on our last hug of the year for Q4. And everyone have a great evening and rest of your week. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. All right. Yes. Thank you. And thanks for all the love in the chat there. It was so nice to meet everybody. Take care. Good night.